Humanity has spent, just billions of dollars building these massive telescopes to peer at the absolute farthest edges of the universe.
Oh yeah, constantly looking outward.
Right. We polish the mirrors to molecular perfection.
Oh.
We strap them to rockets. We launch them into the freezing void of orbit. And we convince ourselves that the answers to our biggest, most existential questions are somehow out there.
Yeah, that they're floating in deep space somewhere.
Exactly. We assume that if we can just look deep enough into the distance, we will finally figure out what reality actually means.
And, that deeply ingrained assumption is the exact target of the philosophy we are looking at today, because we are entirely obsessed with the outside.
Totally obsessed.
But the framework provided by these sources suggests we have made a pretty catastrophic error in our calculation.
It's a huge error.
Yeah. It's like we've been looking through this monumental telescope, completely ignoring the giant smudge on the lens we're actually looking through.
I love that analogy. We spend so much of our lives looking outward to make sense of things, but the incredible sources we're exploring in today's deep dive completely flip that script.
They really do. They argue that you cannot possibly understand the world without first understanding the lens itself.
Right. The center of meaning, according to these essays, lies entirely within you. So today, we're turning the lens inward. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Our mission today is to explore a really fascinating set of writings that map out the inner journey of human self-discovery.
And it's important to note right off the bat, the sources outline a profound shift in perspective. They don't just offer, a quick psychological trick or some light philosophical reframe.
No, it goes way deeper than that.
Way deeper. The text describes a complete transformation of being, and it maps this transformation as a journey passing through three very distinct states of perception.
And these are sequential, right?
Yes, exactly. It begins with the self, moves to the collective, and finally arrives at absolute unity. In the language of the text, these stations are in, which translates to I, then nanu, which means we, and ultimately huv, which translates to he.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that is a lot. Let's start with the very first station, the in, the I, the ego.
The ego, yeah.
The text calls this the closest mystery to a human being, which makes sense because, we use our ego constantly.
Oh, every single day.
We use it to order our morning coffee, to choose a career, to get angry in traffic. It is the operating system for every single daily decision you make. Yet we rarely pause to understand its actual mechanics.
And because that understanding is missing, the essays point out that humanity generally falls into one of two extremes when it comes to the ego.
Right, the pendulum swing.
Exactly. On one side, people try to completely deny the ego, right? Attempting to crush it or, meditate it entirely out of existence.
Like ego death.
Yeah, exactly. But then on the other side, people aggressively inflate it, turning themselves into the absolute center of their universe.
And the text says both of those are wrong.
Completely. The source material warns against both extremes. It describes the ego not as an enemy to be destroyed and certainly not as a throne to sit upon. It calls it a trust to be read correctly.
A trust. So it's an instrument.
Yes, it is an instrument.
An instrument that requires, a specific kind of literacy to read.
That's a great way to put it. And what's fascinating here is the specific analogy the text uses to explain the reality of this instrument.
The equator analogy, right? I love this one.
It's so good. It says the existence of the ego is not physically real, but rather virtual, just like the equator line on a globe.
Okay, break that down for us.
Well, think about the equator. It's a brilliant tool. It allows us to draw a line across the Earth so we can measure north and south, define coordinates, navigate vast oceans.
Sure, it organizes the world.
Exactly. It is a doorway given to humans to comprehend their environment. But you would never, ever take a shovel to the middle of the Earth expecting to dig up a physical piece of the equator.
Right. You can't trip over it.
No. It is a measure. It's a metric, not the physical truth itself.
But, okay, let me push back on that a little bit. On behalf of the listener, wait, isn't my I real?
How do you mean?
When I look at my coffee cup right now, I am the one seeing it. When I read a book, I am the one knowing it. It feels entirely physical and real to me. So how can the text claim my ego is just a virtual line on a map?
Well, that friction you're feeling right now is exactly where the text begins its deepest work.
Okay.
Claiming I see or I know as an absolute independent reality, like you are the standalone creator of that action, that is exactly where the fracture in human perception begins.
So the wording is the problem.
It's the assumption behind the wording. The essay argues that the greatest error of the ego is to claim ownership over what it merely experiences.
Oh, wow. It mistakes what is entrusted to it for what is possessed by it.
Yes. Think about it. When you look at your coffee cup, you do not control the photons of light bouncing off the ceramic. You do not command your optic nerve to fire electrical signals.
Right. I'm not manually operating my visual cortex.
Exactly. You don't consciously process any of those signals.
So I am just, hosting the experience of sight.
Exactly that. You are hosting it. The true reading of the situation, according to this discipline of perception, is not, I see.
Then what is it?
The true reading is, sight has been given to me.
Wow.
And instead of I know, the reality is I have been taught to know. The ego is meant to be a mirror reflecting reality, not the source of it.
It's a massive shift.
It is. The text actually includes this beautiful couplet. It says, if the mirror reflects itself, truth is veiled from sight. If it turns toward the real, secrets come to light.
So the moment we rely heavily on the language of mind, the human being actually shrinks.
Yes, we trap ourselves in an illusion of control.
And that changes the entire psychological dynamic. Sight has been given to me, removes the burden of ownership entirely.
It takes the weight right off your shoulders.
I think anyone listening can instantly connect the danger of that inflated I to their own daily stress. I mean, think about the modern epidemic of burnout.
Oh, it's everywhere.
When you genuinely believe you are the absolute owner and sole creator of your career trajectory, your family success, your health, I mean, that language of mine just grows and grows until the burden becomes unimaginably heavy.
Because you weren't built to carry it.
Right. If I am the sole architect of my universe, then every tiny failure, every unexpected medical bill, every rejected project is a catastrophic collapse of my I.
It's devastating.
The text observes that when a person tries to carry this massive artificial weight, the system just breaks. Conflict arises, we burn out, we fight, and we become incredibly isolated.
You basically become imprisoned within a tiny self-constructed cell. But, the text offers a really powerful mechanism for awakening from this state.
How do you get out?
It says the breakthrough happens when a person simply pauses, looks at all this supposed ownership, and asks a genuine question. And that question is, did I really do this?
Could I really do this? It's the realization that you simply do not have the power to spin the entire globe by yourself.
Exactly. In the moment of asking, did I really do this? The door of that isolated self begins to open. The ego stops trying to violently possess every outcome and begins to actually witness the reality around it.
The imaginary equator line stops pretending to be the earth itself.
Yes, it goes back to being a helpful navigational tool. And the text notes that for the first time, the human being feels a profound lightness.
Because once that crushing weight of the solo ego is lifted, your perspective just cracks wide open. You look up from your own two hands, you look around, and you realize you aren't doing any of this alone.
Not at all alone.
You are completely suspended in a massive interconnected system. And that realization naturally pulls us out of the first state and into the second station, the nanu, the we.
Moving from the I to the we is a massive expansion of awareness. I mean, you cannot understand the world without first passing through the lens of the ego, sure, but staying confined in it is suffocating.
Right. And the source uses this incredibly vivid, grounding analogy of a fruit to explain this collective web.
The apple analogy.
Yeah. Imagine holding a single apple in your hand. To create that one piece of fruit, you need the branch. You need the leaf to photosynthesize. You need the specific mineral composition of the soil.
The water, the sun.
Right. You need the rain cycles, the atmospheric pressure holding the water in place, the gravity of the earth, and the nuclear fusion happening inside the sun millions of miles away.
All working together.
Every single one of those elements had to cooperate perfectly just to produce that one apple. And the text argues that the human being's reality is exactly the same.
Oh, absolutely.
Even in taking a single breath right now, you, the listener, are existing within an impossibly vast, intricate web of cooperation.
Just think about the oxygen from the trees or the atmospheric pressure perfectly balanced against the delicate tissue of your lungs so they don't just collapse.
It's mind-blowing when you really sit with it.
You are constantly, actively supported by this collective we.
But here's where it gets really interesting, because when you start noticing all this cooperation, a new trap emerges.
It does, a very subtle trap.
It is incredibly tempting to look at that web and think, wow, look what we are doing. It's tempting to believe that this collective we, the soil, the sun, the weather, human ingenuity, science, the economy, that these collective causes are the ultimate creators of our reality.
Which is such a natural conclusion to draw, right? But this raises an important question. Is this web of causes actually the true agent?
Are they the ones doing it?
Right. Is the sun, the soil, or the atmospheric pressure truly the creator of the fruit? The text explicitly warns against falling into the second trap.
Because seeing the cooperation is a step up from the isolated ego, right?
It's a huge step up. But if you stop there, you mistake the machinery for the engineer. A vital distinction is made in the text causes do not produce, they merely carry.
That's a crucial line. They carry, but they don't produce.
Exactly. They do not possess the intelligence, the will, or the power to create life out of dead matter. They serve only as a veil.
A veil over the actual power.
There is a stunning couplet in the source that captures this illusion perfectly. It says, "Causes play upon the stage, while power works unseen. One clings to the veil, the other grasps what lies between."
Causes play upon the stage. That paints such a clear, visceral picture.
It really does.
If you go to a theater to watch a play, you see the actors moving, you see the props, you see the lighting changes. Those are the visible causes. They are on the stage doing the physical work you can see.
Right, they're in the spotlight.
But the script, the direction, the entire reason the stage was even built in the first place.
Oh.
That power is working entirely unseen in the background. If you run up onto the stage and hug the props, genuinely thanking the wooden chairs for writing such a beautiful script, you have entirely missed the reality of the play.
You're completely lost in the performance. When the concept of the collective we is read correctly, it teaches deep humility. You realize, okay, I didn't do this by myself, but neither did all these blind, unconscious parts of nature.
Right.
But when it is misread, the text says it disperses a person.
Dispersal. I mean, dispersal is the perfect word for modern anxiety.
Oh, without a doubt.
If you are lost in the causes, your mind and your heart just get scattered across a million different variables. Think about our modern obsession with trying to micromanage every possible input in our lives.
It's exhausting.
We biohack our diets, we obsess over algorithms, we constantly monitor the economy, and we try to perfectly calibrate every vitamin we consume. We believe that if we just manipulate these physical causes enough, we can somehow manufacture perfect health or absolute success.
We become exhausted running around the stage, trying to control all the props.
Trying to rewrite the script of the chair.
Exactly. You're constantly trying to appease forces that have no actual power of their own. The sun does not know it is warming the apple. The soil does not consciously choose to nourish the seed.
So they can be the ultimate answer.
No. So to find true balance, the human mind eventually has to look behind that veil of causes. The mind's calculations, compiling endless lists of variables and inputs, well, they eventually fail to explain the actual miracle of existence. The math just doesn't add up.
It falls short.
And that is when the journey shifts from the mind to the heart.
So what does this all mean? Who is actually the ultimate doer? If my ego isn't the doer, and the sun, the soil, and the economy aren't the ultimate doers, what is behind the veil?
The heart's answer to that is the third and final station. Hoof. P.
Hoof.
But the text emphasizes heavily that reaching this state is not just a passive statement of belief. You don't just say a word and move on with your day.
It's not just a bumper sticker.
Right. It is a profound lived state of realization. The essays describe this as a deepening discipline of perception, a slow process of peeling back the layers of reality.
And the text gets incredibly specific about how to peel back those layers. It outlines a progression of seeing that starts at the surface and goes all the way down to the source.
Yeah. As a person observes existence with extreme care, they realize that what they see is not limited to surface-level names or basic physical descriptions.
He goes deeper.
Much deeper. Behind the names of things, you start to perceive deeper attributes, things like compassion, precision, immense power.
Okay.
And behind those attributes, you begin to sense the intricate inner workings or dispositions required to manifest those qualities. And finally, beyond all human comprehension lies the divine essence itself.
The ultimate source.
The ultimate possessor of infinite greatness and mercy.
It's a complete restructuring of reality.
Yeah.
You realize that to act ultimately belongs to him. To bring a single apple into existence belongs to him. To sustain the gravity that holds you to the earth belongs to him. I keep thinking of an analogy to tie this all together.
Let's hear it.
Imagine you set out on this incredibly grueling hike up a mountain. You reach the peak, you look down at the valley, and your ego, the ante, flares up. You think, wow, look what I conquered by my own sheer strength.
The classic trap of the eye.
Right. But then your awareness expands. You notice the perfectly carved steps, the trail markers, and the clear weather. You think, okay, the trail builders, the climate, my gear, we did this together.
You see the cooperation on the stage?
Exactly. But then the realization of the final station hits you. You realize that the path was completely paved before you were even born.
Oh, wow.
The weather was cleared by atmospheric forces spanning continents. The very gravity holding your boots to the rock, the oxygen entering your lungs at that exact altitude, all of it was calibrated entirely for you by an unseen power.
That is perfectly stated.
The text summarizes this reality beautifully. It says, "The human being only walks. It is he who opens the way."
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the profound transformation of the individual actually takes root.
Because it changes how you see your own effort.
Exactly. Now, modern culture might hear this and push back. People might think, well, doesn't this make human beings entirely insignificant? If we are just walking on a pre-paved path, if we aren't the creators, are we nothing?
It's a fair question.
It is, but the philosophical framework insists on the exact opposite. Reaching this stage does not diminish the human being at all. It elevates them immensely.
Because giving up the illusion of being the ultimate doer doesn't erase you. It lifts the burden.
It frees you.
The exhausting, anxiety-inducing urge to control every variable, to micromanage every prop on the stage, it finally fades.
If you know that absolute mercy and power are behind the veil, as the couplet in the text says, the traveler thinks he reaches the end by his own stride, then sees at every step, mercy was his guide. You stop fighting the universe.
You can just walk the path.
The crushing weight of the I is gone. The frantic dispersal of the we is quieted. And the heart finds actual, sustainable peace.
That feels like the summary of an entire lifetime. The text laid out the core narrative of our struggles in just those three concepts.
It really does.
The one who remains stuck in the I falls into endless conflict. They're always defending their fragile ego, always carrying a weight that simply isn't theirs to bear.
Burning out.
Right. And the one who moves on but remains stuck in the we becomes dispersed. They get lost in a million little causes, constantly anxious about the props on the stage.
Shattered everywhere.
But the one who journeys all the way to he finds true balance.
And balance is the ultimate objective here. This deep dive isn't just about accumulating abstract philosophical trivia.
No, or learning a fun new way to look at a globe.
Right. The source material is very direct about this. It says, the real question is not what we know, but what our knowledge turns us into. The goal of this entire discipline of perception is to completely change how you exist in the world.
Because if you trace this inner path correctly, you reach a state where you don't idolize yourself. You don't inflate your ego into a false creator.
Exactly.
But you also don't idolize nature, the economy, or the causes around you.
Yeah.
You aren't lost in the chaotic noise of the world, but importantly, you aren't detached from it either.
You don't run away to a cave to meditate forever.
Right. You live right here in the messy, physical world, but you are running on a completely different operating system. Only then, the text argues, do we truly begin to live.
It's a journey that opens from within to the outside. As you finally learn to read your own self correctly, the rest of the world instantly gains its true meaning.
Which brings us to a final, lingering thought for you to carry with you today. There's a brilliant couplet in the text that simply reads, "With a light born within, all forms are renewed." I want to challenge you to apply this directly to the immediate physical reality of your life right now. Think about the mundane objects sitting on your desk. Think about the repetitive tasks on your calendar or that massive stressful project that is just keeping you up at night.
The things weighing you down.
If your ego really is just an imaginary equator line, a helpful navigational tool, but not the absolute center of reality, and if you are not the one actually required to carry the ultimate burden of creating every single outcome, how does that physically change how you step into your day?
That's the real question.
If you stop agonizing over the stage props and finally unlock that inner gate, what does your completely renewed world look like right now?
Because when the smudge on the lens is cleared, the entire universe looks very, very different.
Thank you so much for joining us on this inner journey today. Keep exploring, keep questioning the lens you look through, and we will see you on the next deep dive.